I'm playing for a first prize of over $62,000 on day 2 of the RunGood Poker Series Mega Stack at Graton Casino on May 5th, 2024. But how did I get here? This particular tournament lasts 2 days with multiple day 1 starting days called flights. I chose to use my $400 entry to play Flight A on Thursday night starting at 6 o'clock p.m. We played until about 2 o'clock in the morning, Friday, and when the field got down to 1 and 8 of us remaining, we all put our chips in a bag and wrote our name on it. There were 4 subsequent day 1s known as Flights B, C, D, and E at noon and 6 p.m. on Friday and at noon and 6 p.m. on Saturday. Of the 1,216 people who entered one or more of those flights, 153 bagged and tagged and came back on Sunday at noon for day 2. Everyone who made it to day 2 have all won some money, and the minimum we're all guaranteed is $660. If you want to see what I did in Flight A to get here, I'll leave it in a link in the description below. This is Rudy Johnson, and before Thursday, I never met him. In the middle of day 1A, he went to the casino bakery and got a giant macaroon. I told him I was jealous. He told me if we both made day 2, he'd buy me one. We did and he did. What a guy! Time for Mr. Creepy's foolproof guide to poker tournament success. And it all starts off with... No, absolutely not. It all starts off with goals. I had a minimum goal, a realistic goal, and an ultimate goal for day 2. My minimum goal was to play better than a dead man. We'll get back to that in a minute. I'm starting the day in 48th place out of 153, and my realistic goal was to finish the tournament in a higher place than where I started day 2. Of course, my ultimate goal was to win the whole tournament, get you to like and subscribe to my channel, win a ring, the whole 9 yards. We're starting day 2 with the blinds at 3,000, 6,000, 6,000, which means that every time the button orbits the table and I don't play a hand, I'm going to lose 15K in chips. I estimate there's going to be 4 orbits per hour, and I know that every half hour the blinds will go up to 488, then 5, 10, 10, and 6, 12, 12K after that. There's actually a tournament rule that if I died or otherwise left the room and never came back during the tournament, my chips would stay on the table, and every time it was my turn to pay the blinds, the dealer would remove that certain amount until I ran out of chips. If you're scoring at home, dead men never play a hand. They fold. If a dead man were playing my chips, he'd lose 30,000 chips in the first half hour, plus 40,000 in the next half hour, 50,000 in the third, and 60,000 in the fourth, for a total of 180,000 by the first break. A dead man would still have 56,000 chips after the break and would lose everything about 20 minutes later. My past experience tells me the field shrinks a little more than half in 2 hours, which would make a dead man with my stack finish about 51st, which is ironically about where I am to start day 2. I know it seems weird, but there's a lot of poker players that don't play better than dead. Fun thing about staying alive for a while on day 2, the folks at RunGood Poker hired a professional photographer to take our pictures at the table. The good news is now I can put a face with everyone's name at my table. Here's the bad news. Tuck your shirt in, you buck-toothed beaver. But enough of that. I wanted to see just how willing the table was to play right off the jump. I was the button on the very first hand, and when everyone folded to me, I made a pretty big raise to 21K, holding a cough drop and an old wad of gum, expecting a fold from the last 2 behind. If they'd fold, I'd win the orbit, 15,000 in chips, and if they'd raised, I'd fold. The short stack big blind went all in for 52K, I got my answer, and I was down to 215,000. The guy to my right busted out early, and my buddy Ricky T moved to his seat and played pretty aggressive. He was bluffing a lot, so I couldn't, and in the first 2 hours, I lost more blinds than I was able to steal. It's break 1 of day 2, and that's what I've got. That's about 185,000. This is Rick Troendly. I know him from another local casino, and look what he's got. That's probably the chip leader of the tournament.
I don't know.
What's the secret, man?
Tell the truth.
No bluffing. Another one, huh?
Yep.
Ready to get a ring?
Yep.
All right. Let's do it.
Thank you, Creepy.
All right. Later. So we've got like an intimate set, not a lot of subscribers here, minimal views, right? I'm going to tell you some secrets that might help you out down the road. Maybe you can learn something, or maybe you can leave a comment for me so I can step up my game. If I have a different view that makes you think of something you've never thought of before, maybe you can like and subscribe to Mr. Creepy. Maybe in a year or two, I'll be famous and you'll be part of that on the ground floor, no? When we came back from break, there were 72 players left, and as you saw, I had 185,000 chips. I snapped this picture about 10 minutes after we came back, and as you can see, the average stack size was about 422,000 chips. I was now guaranteed at least $960. With my stack size at this point, I couldn't expect to go on a run to win the whole thing, so I shifted my focus on just getting to the next pay jump. You'll see here it was $1,120 for 63rd place. Once I got there, about 10 minutes later, I'd peek over at the TV and see the next ladder up would be 55th, making $1,360. And I just tried to stay alive as long as I could. Ricky T knew what I was doing and bluffed me a couple times, but once I secured 55th, I decided to take a stand. The next ladder up was 48th and I was down to 135,000, so when he raised me, I shoved all in and got a fold. He's got around 800,000 at this point, so he can afford to do this. Now you're looking at the next time he tried. Those brown chips are each 25,000 and the red ones are 5,000, so that makes my total 185K. I had ace 8, maybe he's bluffing, or maybe I'm gonna lose. I'm gonna do a wrap up and go home. Let's see. So that was the biggest hand I'd won so far. Looks like I won 100K, but I'm very soon to go all in with exactly 310. So I'm missing something somewhere. It's been over 3 hours and I'm yet to get a really good hand. Stop, rephrase. I had ace jack twice. I was gonna shove both times, but Joe in seat 4 was playing pretty snug, and I say that with a caveat that I may be right and I may be wrong. He may have just been getting lousy cards like me. Anyway, both those times that I got ace jack, he raised before it was my turn, so I folded. I didn't want to take the risk that I was betting into better. So you might ask, why am I then shoving with ace 8? Well, I thought ace 8 was good now, and I thought ace jack wasn't good then. In a bit of foreshadowing, I'm going to have another opportunity to play my cards or listen to my gut for my tournament life before this is all over. And I'm not talking about this hand. The blind's still at 10, 15, 15. I was under the gun with pocket queens. Now, this is a hand with my stack that I'm never going to fold. I did limp though. 15,000, and someone after me raised to 85, and Ricky T called. I then shoved for my whole 310. The original raiser thought about it for a long time and called me with pocket nines. From his perspective, he was paying $220,000 to win a little over $700, and it was either a 50% favorite to win if I had a hand like ace king, or a 20% favorite if I had what I had. He made the call, Ricky T folded, he didn't make the Reflections of a River Rat vlog, and I took down the pot, and now I had over 700,000 chips. Tournaments have a thing called table balancing. In a perfect world, every table has the same amount of players. In this case, in the later levels, 8 of us per table. The problem arises when 2 people lose at once at a certain table. Then that table has, say, 6 players and all the other tables have 8. The solution is for the floor person taking one person from one of the tables with 8 and moving him to the table with 6 to even things out. And if you don't already know, that's the definition of table balancing. About 2 hands after I won that hand with pocket queens, I was moved to another table for balancing. Then this happened. One of the first hands I got, I had ace queen, and I believe the blinds were 1530. I raised to 130, and I got 2 callers, and the flop had 2 queens, so I flopped trip queens. I bet, I believe, 160,000, and the other 2 people folded. One of them showed pocket jacks. So right then, I surpassed 1,000,000 chips. I got to 1,000,001. Got some other things on video because I said, all right, you know what I'm forgetting to do? So right now, I'm about 135, a little bit below 1.4. More than average stack. There's 26 players left. They're going to redraw at 24. Got a chance of winning this thing. Can you believe it? Can you believe it? Okay, looks like I was the small blind here. The button limped and I bet 200K to take down the pot. Big blind folded and surprisingly the button shoved on me for about 300K. At that point, I was pot committed, and I got some really good news when he turned over 7-8 of clubs. I don't know who that guy is, and I don't want to kick a man when he's down, but if he would have shoved the button rather than let me bet and then call, I may have folded ace-deuce. His call might have made sense in that the orbit costs were $100K at the time, so he'd have about 17 hands before he got blinded out. In any event, I won. I should shut up and be happy. All right, still on the second break. This is Travis Fujisaka, a much more accomplished poker player than me. I have 1.3. I'm a little bit above average stack. Travis, how much you got?
3.1.
Got a chance of winning.
Got a chance.
Yeah. So there's 26 players left. He's not at my table, but what they do, and when they get to the final 3 tables, which is 24 players, they scramble it all up. So, in 20 minutes, I might be sitting next to him, and I might never see him in the tournament till the final table, if we both get there.
Hopefully final table.
Yeah, hopefully. Fingers crossed. This is Juan Carlos, and he's been sitting next to me most of the tournament until I moved away from this table and then moved back. I got 1.3. He's got almost 2. Way more than that. So what do you think your chances of the final table are?
We had a lot of chances to go final table, but we had a lot of work to do.
And in the last couple hours, we're just going like, oh, we got to ladder up. We got to make another $300.
Are we moving?
We're past that. We're both trying to win.
Maybe.
So we'll keep you posted. Thanks for watching. The blinds came back to eat us all alive. To think I started the whole tournament Thursday with 30,000 chips, and now to play one round of poker. 125,000 seems crazy, but that's how things are structured to get us all to put our money in. There's a picture of my stack at just over 1.2 million after I lost 125K folding for 5 minutes. I can't lie, I felt a little out of place in that I haven't been in this situation a lot. The guy Travis that I just interviewed has, and he'd go on to finish second. Here's a hand where I got caught trying to steal with a cat's litter box and a box of crackers from the button. Probably should have either folded or even raised higher to get the blinds out. Instead, the big blind shoved the flop, I folded, and the tournament lady told me to stop recording my hands. I got moved to another table for balance soon afterwards, got blinded down to about 850K, picked up Queen 10 offsuit just before the button. There were 19 players left, and I'd now fallen back in between the position of trying to ladder up or trying to win it all. And I got some valid questions for you. Do you take option 1, play better than a dead man, fold, and probably make $600 more money on the ladder to 17? Or do you raise with Queen 10, try to take down the blinds, and survive further? Please discuss. I chose option 2, and with the blinds now 30-60-60, I made it 150 to go. Unfortunately, the big blind called again. Different guy, different table, same call. Fortunately, the flop was Jack 10-10, and I flop trip 10s. He checked to me, I downsized to 80,000. He then check raised me to 200K, and I just knew I was beat. I've got some more valid questions for you. Do you take option 1, play better than a dead man, fold your trip 10s with a queen kicker, and hold on to your remaining 550,000 with an orbit cost of 150K, hoping to pick up a better spot in the next 3 orbits 6-handed? Or do you play your hand knowing that realistically only King 10 and Jack 10 can beat you? Pocket Jacks would have raised pre-flop, so he doesn't have that. Please discuss. He had King 10 against my Queen 10, had me outkicked, and now I'm here. So I finished 18th. Better than I thought. Nice experience, nice run. Hope to do it again. Tournament's still going on. Have some friends in the tournament still. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Talk to you soon. Bye. A week's gone by and I've had some time to reflect, and I think I should have raised a lot bigger with those last 2 hands. Finishing 19th place out of a field over 1,200 is a little bittersweet. Yeah, it's a really nice accomplishment, but first place was right There! Still not sure if I should have called with trips when I'm certain I'm beat, but maybe I'm not a good enough player to fold. Yet. World Series of Poker is coming up in just 2 weeks, and I'm going to pick myself up, learn from my mistakes, and I'm only going to get better with time. Thanks for watching. Stay creepy.